thank you guys for your patience. You're wonderful. Thank you. Here, I'm going to pull this up on you guys too. I got my headset. There it is. Okay, we're live on YouTube. And this is Adrienne, Capricorntigress of Astrology, a look inside. And today we've got 3 amazing guests for our Astrology Lovers podcast. We've got Clare Ford, Julia Wesley, and Tracey Rampling Brown. And we're going to talk to them about their spiritual journey, their spiritual businesses, or their businesses. And we're going to find out more about them and what they do. But first, let me just see what I've got on these 3 wonderful ladies here. I've got, I think, something here for Julia and for Clare. And I think Tracey, we're going to wing it on Tracey. Okay. So I'm so excited about this. And what I usually do is I will introduce, each one of you by alphabetical order. So that's how we're going to do it, in alphabetical order. And which means we're going to start with Clare Ford. Clare Ford. And one of the things that Clare said, and let me just go ahead and cut this music down here. Let's see here. Second here. All right. So Clare Ford, one of the things that Clare had said was that she's developing a quantum curriculum for kids and teens. And she's also a Palladian priestess. She loves black hat, shamanic drumming, and nature. And she believes that there is no one-size path that fits approach. And for children, to become fully potentialized adults. So it's necessary to give them tools to break generational cycles. And we're going to learn more about what she's promoting, which is a meditation movement and mindset summer course for kids that starts in August. So we're going to learn more about that from Clare. And then with Julia, Julia is a Akashic Records reader, Julia Wesley, Akashic Records reader, a soul blueprint healer, and a podcast host of Becoming Divine. She works in the Akash to help people better understand their divine nature and how they express it in this human lifetime. Oh, I'm so excited about that one, Julia. And so we're going to find out more about her and her divine alignment, or realignment.com, and all that Julia has to share. So ladies, and Tracey, I don't have the bio on you, but I'm sure you're going to tell us, and it's going to be a build up to get to Tracey and find out all about what Tracey does. So I'm going to start with the names because I don't have much on Tracey now, but we're going to start with Clare Ford. Clare, tell us about what you do and how you got started, and what awakened you to doing what you do now.
Sure. So the thing is, I'm sure like many of you here, many of you listening, as a child, I was a very intuitive, empathic, spiritual child. I used to see auras. I would connect with nature. I loved stargazing and, looking at clouds and all of that. And very early on, at quite a young age, I remember, seeing these colors around trees and things. And my mum just saying, that I was talking rubbish, that it didn't exist. And she's like, right, come on in, you've got to do your times tables. And it was like, whew, right, this wall came down, and that whole spiritual essence of myself as a child was basically disconnected right there and then. And that's when I learned, that I had to be a people pleaser and a good girl and do my work and get the grades and yada, 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 and that path that so many of us have walked, right? So what I have realized now, coming full circle as an educator, is that we need to absolutely embrace the spiritual dimension of the children we see in front of us, right? Absolutely embrace that, welcome that in, and allow them. It's not even that we have to teach them because they know it. We're the ones that have forgotten. They know, right? They're ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we have to keep up with our kids now. And I want to be the person that holds that space, that allows parents to step into a courageous place where it's okay to say, you know what, my child's talking gobbledygook, and I say that might be light language, and that's okay to have that conversation, right? Where we allow that creativity, that spirituality to blossom, rather than it to be cut down like it was when I was a child. So in a nutshell, that's who I am and why I do what I do. Yeah.
It's amazing. And you're doing a wonderful thing. I don't know how many people get shut down as children. Like, one of the first things I remember hearing is children are meant to be seen, not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys heard that, but it just right away was like go hide. Like, they don't want to see you. They would put you at the little kids table, make pretend you weren't there. So I'm grateful that you're doing this for some kids, because my daughter was she's autistic. She has Asperger's, and it was hard raising her. Um,
And this is the interesting thing, you know, Adrienne. So many of the children now who are coming through are being diagnosed, right, with ASD, with Asperger's, with autism, on the spectrum, right? And that's just because they're not fitting into the square hole, right? They're the round peg. They need other round pegs. They don't need the square holes. The education system is no longer serving our children. It's no longer serving our next generation. And they need a completely different approach, which is what I bring in my curriculum. Now, I'm not saying don't do maths, don't do English. We need core skills. We need core life skills, of course. But they come, for me, they are secondary to the spiritual and emotional growth and well-being of our children.
I love that. I love that. I wanted to segue into Julia, because Julia, you are the Akashic. You do
Yes.
the Akashic records. And I, as a sacred soul light healer and a sacred soul practitioner, we do things that talk about past lifetimes. Like, there's so many things that we're doing that is because of a past lifetime, or an oath, or a contract, or a vow we took. Like, we might have been a priest back in the 1700s, and we're still thinking like that. So how do you address that with people? Do you find that a lot of people come with a lot of past life gunk when they approach you?
This is actually my favorite topic.
Oh.
So, one of the very first things that my guides taught me about the Akash, and I fought this tooth and nail because I really came with this belief that I was a million other people before I was this person. And they had to teach me that I have only ever been Julia. And you have only ever been Adrienne, Claire has only ever been Claire, Tracey's only ever been Tracey. And the reason why we accumulate karma, my guys call it a pain lineage, is because we believe that we are that same person who experienced the same persecution as a witch in Salem, or maybe a peasant in France in the 1400s. And it's not that you don't share any points of commonality with them, but you're your own person. So when I am working with someone in the Akash, what I'm helping them do is I'm helping them unidentify as that other person, so that we can actually really focus on this current lifetime and how we can really blossom and experience in this life. And it's important because you can actually connect with other lifetimes in a way that doesn't accumulate karma, in a way that's more positive and is actually more helpful to you, so that when you go back into the Akash and you go back into those other lives, you're not picking up on the pain and the suffering. And then so we can actually share our points of commonality, can be points of celebration, and they can help you and you can help them, rather than you're just sort of picking up a link in the chain. So I do actually have a lot of people come to me who are picking up on the suffering of another life, and I help them say, hey, let's put that down and let's Let's help that person by not validating their story, by re-experiencing it in your current one, and then let's live our own story. So it's beneficial because once we cut those ties, it helps liberate the other person, and then it frees you up to experience, all of your archetypes and your full expression.
Do you find that once that just knowing what your past life was or getting acknowledgement of it, does that help people? Because I just found like we did one for my daughter, and she had said she was Taino, which is, Puerto Rican. I never mentioned Taino being Puerto Rican at that time. She was like 3.
Wow.
But she said that she's starved to death in her tribe, the Taino tribe. So it's so freaky, right? But I still get chills when I think about that, because babies bring all this stuff with them. They have no filter, just like Clare was saying. And my mother did a past life, and she just started spewing all this stuff like, I'm so hungry. I'm always hungry. We starved to death. There was never enough food. And sure enough, she had gotten obese and had to do a gastric bypass because, she had gotten over 300. And
that's, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. It was just, I always thought it tied back into the starvation from the prior life. So it was always, I got to get more food, And
I would actually agree with you. I think that's actually a really great example of pulling that pain into your current lifetime. So I actually think when the reason why, probably subconsciously, and why like our babies would say, I was this in a past lifetime, is because they're trying to be of service to that other life and to say, I'm going to work through that pain and suffering for you right here and right now. Sometimes what we forget to do, though, is we forget to let go of that, because at a certain point, we can only take it so far. We can only take a person so far. They have to cross the finish line themselves, right? So I can't live that other life for that other person. At a certain point in time, what I can do is I can offer my own support, but it's this life that I'm focusing on, and it's this life that I'm living, right? So I think it's so cool that your baby said, I was this person in another life, because to me, what that signifies is that your baby is so connected, and she's already of service, right? And she's already trying to help someone. And it's important, I think this goes into what Clare is doing, to remember that connection, because when you forget, then we accept that identity as our own. And that's when we run into problems, right? And that might be something similar to what your mom, I think you said, was experiencing, to where she remembered a life where she was always starving, always hungry, never had enough, right? And so when we forget that, oops, that's not actually this life, that's not actually me right now, then we re-experience that whole cycle of karma again. So that's my work in the Akash. That's why I say we don't actually have any past lives. Because I want to help people unidentify as that person.
It's amazing. Just it's amazing. And I we'll get back to that, because I could go on and on. I got teary. I don't know if you saw that. I started thinking about something. And it's weird, because I feel like I brought a past life with me. And it must have been a really good past life, and I don't know if our past lives are linear or not, like if they're really time sensitive. I was 6 years old when I first saw the magic house. I always call it my magic mansion. And I saw this mansion that I thought, I'm going to live in this mansion. As a little girl, being really poor, it seemed completely out of reach. Now I live in Seattle, where they just are sitting up on the hill looking just like that. And I feel like any day I'm going to get enough money to own one of them myself. So it's weird, isn't that? Because I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, the poorest city in America, on the poorest street in America. And so, I feel like, did I manifest this? But I feel like I knew it already from a prior life. And part of me is trying to separate myself from whoever that prior life person was. I feel that she was probably someone of power. And I don't think I got to like shut it off. Like, that's not my role now. I'm not just like kind of I'm in the background. And that's, I don't know if I'm supposed to be, but I feel like I'm supposed to be because of whatever that other life was that was so in the face,
Yeah.
And it's a long story. I could go on and on because the person was murdered,
Ooh.
I married the guy I think was that either we murdered him or he murdered me in a prior lifetime, but he did leave me because it's a long story. But if I go deep into it, I want to write a book because I feel like it all ties into a prior life. Isn't that amazing? So anyway, Tracey, let's get on to you. I've got to find out what you do. I'm like aching here now because we waited. So Tracey, I'm going to let you do your own introduction. Tell us what you do.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting being with such an amazing group of women today. My name is Tracey Rampling-Brown, and I am a mindset and manifestation coach and a certified moonologer. And I work with overwhelmed multi-passionates and multi-potentialites to help them find clarity in the chaos, restore their confidence and their focus, and define their next steps so that they can take a leap of faith and step into their dream lives without fear of making the wrong decisions, because FOMO plays such a huge part for those of us who are multi-potentialites. So for me, my magic is in helping my clients reconnect with their divine feminine energies, to start really trusting and leaning into their intuition so that they can start designing an intentional vision for the future, really set core goals that are congruent with their beliefs and their values, not just, like what we say, but our core beliefs and values that are unchangeable, and set those solar line goals that help light you up inside, that really kind of push you to want to, like do the things that you feel really called to do, and then help them start manifesting the crap out of their dreams. And so a lot of that also comes with the way that I work with the moon and manifesting through the cycles of the moon. So it's really amazing that today we're doing it on the full moon, and it's the full moon in Capricorn. So Adrienne, it's like the perfect moon for this.
I'm so excited.
So, and my style is very much like, I love the woo. I'm all about the woo, but I also really love some of the science that backs it up. So I like to call myself a spiritual science nerd because, if I discover, like there was a study that was done about parts of the brain that talks about how and why things like meditation actually literally help to rewire our brains and grow grey matter and increase grey matter in the parts of the brain that are all about growth and expansion, and they actually decrease the brain matter in the amygdala, which is the fear center of the brain. And I mean, how amazing is that they can actually show on MRI scans things that we know, like mindfulness and meditation and stuff helps us to become more positive, and it helps us to stop being so afraid. It helps us to regulate our emotions and things like that. But science is starting to demonstrate these things too, and that like totally turns me on. So but yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And so with my clients, I do a little bit of inner child work. I don't read the Akashic records yet, but it's definitely something I've had Akashic record reading. So I love hearing what you're saying, Julia, as well, because it really totally 100% resonates for me. And I'm just really starting my astrology journey. So I'm not like an astrology savant or anything like that. I really feel like I'm only just scratching the surface, but my skills are mostly in the moon manifestation sphere.
I love it. I love it. One of the things I wanted to ask you is like, what do you feel is the biggest reason most people don't reach their highest potentialization?
Oh, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of disappointing other people, and especially for multi-potentialites. So I don't know if you guys know what a multi-potentialite is. Multi-passionate's kind of like, it's kind of self-explanatory. Multi-potential, like you have many potentials, but or many passions. But a lot of multi-potentialites are actually neurodiverse. So they might be highly gifted. They may be on the autism spectrum. They may have ADD or ADHD. And the thing is that a lot of times the reasons that they have trouble focusing is because they're like magpies, that they get the bright shiny object syndrome. They want to do all the things, and they want to do all the things is in caps, right? I want to do all the things and I want to do them all at the same time. I'm going to do them right now. And the problem is that often leaves them feeling like, I don't know where to start first because all of the things just look so good. It's like going to a buffet. Like, where do you start? Like, you've only got so much room on your plate. Like, how can you have all of it? But the problem is that there's also, because they like such a diverse range of things and because they're really generalists, like they're good at lots of things. They're good at rapid learning. They're good at being flexible and adaptable. And they're really good at things like idea synthesis. So they can take from lots of different ideas and synthesize and build something amazing, or like come up with an amazing idea that other people who, you know, like linear thinkers who are not necessarily neurodiverse, who really can't see the way that these patterns interlink together. But the problem with that is that it's really hard to focus because there are so many things constantly trying to grab your attention. And so because you're good at lots and lots of different things, you're never really a specialist in one area. And imposter syndrome and feeling like you're never good enough, you don't know enough, no one is going to believe that you're an authority in that area or whatever, really is something that massively struggle with, because it doesn't, you apply for a job, you're like, yeah, I could do all of those things, but my resume doesn't show that I could do any of those things. And I do think it's also a common problem, particularly for women too, because especially when we have kids, we can do all the things, you know, like we manage households, we, you know, manage multiple people's calendars. We're like, you know, VA, CEO, doctor, you know, like the whole doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, like that is like the literal definition of being a mother. And because we're doing all these things all the time, it can just be so overwhelming, and we're so used to putting ourselves last. And so it's that fear of failure. But what happens, you know, I'm going to disappoint my family. I'm going to disappoint, you know, everybody around me. You know, I'm going to disappoint my parents. It's other people's goals. People saying, oh, but you should do this. And you're like, oh, well, okay, well, I'll give that a go. That really, so I think that's why a lot of people don't achieve their potential, is because they're so busy trying to make other people happy and they're afraid to disappoint people. And then because of the imposter syndrome, they're afraid to succeed because then they don't know what to do. What do I do with that? Like, if I become successful, then what?
You know, it's funny. I have whatever this is. I know I do. But luckily for me, I've been an astrologer for 40 years. That's my only saving grace. Like you know, I've got stick-to-itiveness, obviously. But if it wasn't for that, I mean, I'm a Jack or Jill of all trades like that. And I have the shiny object syndrome. I had looked at what I had purchased from 2019 to now, and there must be every bit of 100 programs. What am I going to do with all those programs? But like, first, I was like, I'm not making any money. I'm not making any money. And I'm like, oh, but I purchased 100 programs. I'm like, no, that's where all your money went. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm sure this is probably more rampant with online because there's so many shiny objects.
Yeah.
You know, people like me with ADHD, it's almost like they know you've got it, and so they come at you with these options and offers.
And it's so much of that marketing style is really like to play into the pain points. So of course, like we feel those pain points so deeply, right? And we're like, oh, but this will fix me.
Oh, I mean, master classes and manifestation courses and all kind. There's no way I could possibly attend all the courses I paid for. Like, there's no way. And when you stop and you think about it, if each class is $199 or $299 or $399, like how much money are we really throwing away on this shiny object syndrome?
Yeah.
Like I found I had Clixie, Kajabi, Teachable, and Medium. There was like all these different course builders. You need one course builder. So that's part of it. That's part of the ADHD, I think. So it's amazing. I think whatever it is that you're doing with the moon, and especially if you can help people get to that potentiality and to stop that, whatever that is, that's perfect. That's what people.
Thanks. Yeah, it is. It's so much of it just comes back to helping people work out exactly like what the right next step is for you. You know, like what is it that you're being called to do? Like where are you feeling soul aligned to go? And what is the next step you can do to do that? And it becomes so much simpler when we can all just start to quieten down and really listen to the inner knowing rather than looking externally for answers from other people all the time. You know, like somebody who will give you the magic formula when you actually have everything that you need inside you already.
It's so true. It's so true. So I wanted to give you guys each some time to tell about whatever specials you have, any kind of promotions you have, any links that you want to talk about, anything like that. So we're going to start with Claire and have Claire talk about whatever it is that you like to share or promote. And I'll put some links up in the chat if you have to, and I'll make sure people get a hold of that. So go ahead, Claire. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And, yes, based on just, the conversations that we've all been having, something that I'm really keen on doing is giving young children, not young children, children and young adults, the skills to do things like understand this overwhelm, understand this shiny object, understand the monkey mind, understand the fear of failure. All these things we've been talking about, is so important. I'm a moonologist as well. I do sacred moon healing circles. And one of the things that I teach teenagers, for example, is about making sure that they're in touch with their biorhythms, that they understand when they can do high-level activities, low-level activities. No point trying to get a teenager to revise at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? They're just asleep, It's like forget that, do it all later. So it really is about, understanding how we work when we're not sort of told what to do and where to go and how to be. So I love all of that stuff. Something that I'm doing over the summer for kids is this meditation, movement and mindset. So it works really on the important elements of breath work, and embodiment. But I've dialed it in a different way so that it's very practical for the children as well. And what happens is they come away, I'm so excited about this, they come away with 3 meditation movies, right? So I teach them they're not just meditating with me. They don't meditate with me. I teach them the kinds of things that can go into the meditations. And then I take them on this journey, on this visualization, and they come up with their own meditations and they record their meditations and then turn them into a little movie with pictures that they illustrate, with photos of them at the beach or in the woods or wherever they're going to do these meditations. So it becomes a real auditory, visual, kinesthetic, embodied, interactive, co-creative experience, which then, of course, and here's the magic, they then have on their mum's phones or wherever on the computer. And so, when everybody's getting a bit tired and irritable and grumpy and all of that, the mum can say, look, do you want to go and do your grounding meditation? And it's their grounding meditation that they made up with their voice. So they're not going to say, no, I'm not going to do that, right? So they're hearing as well. Here's the thing, ladies. I know you get this. They're hearing internally their own voice telling them to take a breath, to relax, to calm down. And that's so powerful because that's something that I know and even from past lives that they can take with them. They're already building tools in their toolbox now, right, that they can use for the rest of their lives. So I'm so excited. Then we're doing the movement stuff along with the elements, earth, air, fire, water, embodying that, using all of that from kind of like Chinese stuff, shamanic stuff, like bringing it all together. And then we're co-creating these affirmation cards with the children in the group. So it's not like I've got some and I'm just going, oh, here, buy these from Amazon. No, we're creating them alongside with the children, with their images, with their words, with their energy, with their intentions for the sessions. So then when they get those packs of affirmation cards, it totally means something relevant to them. And so we're stepping into that, you know, I am positive psychology education as well. So they're the things I'm doing. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
And I think you shared a link with me as well, so that we can let people how they get a hold of you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Absolutely. You know, it's amazing. Years ago, they taught what? Reading, writing, arithmetic. They did not teach anything about emotional anything,
No.
and especially not spiritual at all. I was laughed at, you know, as a young person because I was an astrologer. I started at 16. People had no clue back in those days. You know, it was all fake. All of that. You like crystals? You're crazy, right? Now look how big they are. How we've learned so much about that. We ourselves are crystal, like we are crystal,
Yeah.
right? So we've learned so much more since the 70s, because you guys, I'm almost 60. So it's like, it's been years. I am so proud of what you're doing. If you can get children when they're young and give them a foundation like that.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
So we'll definitely share your link. Julia, you've been so patient. I can't wait to hear more about the Akashic Records. And, you know, whatever you can share with us, how we can get a hold of you and learn more about the Akashic Records and all of that. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So you can get in touch with me at divinerealignment.com. All of the services I do are based out of the Akash. When I started doing this, I trained under an evidential medium, and I expected to be an evidential medium, except all the information I kept getting was Akashic information. It took me a while to figure out that that's just where I hang out. So everything that I do, I pull from the Akash. So when I work with you, I'm actually going into your records or into your room or whatever, and then we work with you that way. The reason why I do this work in the Akash, and another one of the first things my guides taught me was that I was a rainbow child, which I didn't like. I didn't like that answer because I always thought that term was sort of like a bunch of new age ego fluffing. And so I sort of got mad at my guides about that. And I'm like, no, tell me something else, you know, give me a past life. And what I surrendered to, and I was like, okay, tell me what you mean, is basically that I don't have any karma from any past lives, meaning that I never took that on when I embodied in this current life. And that you are not only born that way, but that you can be made that way in this current life. And all that it requires of you is to let go of that karma. And so I know that it's a really hot topic right now in the New Age community, spiritual community, the woo, to talk about ascension or 5D and about how we're moving forward. You're going into a new cycle. Whatever it is that we want to call it, we are moving forward. And so one of the things that we can't take with us if you actually want to stay in this new cycle is you can't take your karma with you. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out how in this lifetime we're going to let go of that. So when you work with me, my ultimate intention is to help you drop the karma of your other lifetimes so that you can really fully embody who you were meant to be and explore this person, understand who it is, so that you can embody your divinity in this lifetime, not in some hopefully future lifetime, because the future is now. So that's what I aspire to do. When we do an Akashic Records reading together, what I'm doing is I'm helping you unhook from that other lifetime. We spend a lot of time on that. We do a lot of healing there. But then I also introduce you to the archetypes that you're living in this lifetime. So we'll go over your soul groups. We'll go over your soul training, a whole bunch of other information as well. And then I'll say, this is how you express it. This is why you express it. This is why you hold this archetype. And that's very healing. That has a lot. And the other thing that I do is a soul blueprint healing. So basically, when I sit down with someone, I sort of see them as a snowflake or a grid pattern. And the information within this is sort of like the 2D representation of the 3D you. And it holds all of this basic information about how you express. And so when we do one of these, I call them soul blueprint alignments, is I'm basically getting you into alignment with your true expression. And this is just a deepening understanding of who you are. And basically, it helps you, if you're confused about your purpose, this is a great way to dig back into that. If you're confused about, maybe you know what your purpose is, but for some reason you're bored all of a sudden, it's a sign that you're supposed to be expanding into your purpose. You need to be doing more. And then so sometimes that gets us out of alignment. We get a little scared. So soul blueprint alignment is great for that as well. I also have a podcast as well that I talk about all of this on. So all of that information is actually on my website, which is divinerealignment.com. And yeah, you can find me there.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I could kick myself. I had an opportunity to take a Akashic Records class. And like I said, I'm in too many, right? So I missed out on that particular one. But I really want to learn to read the Akashic Records because, you know, it's just like all the information supposedly is there.
It's fascinating. I highly recommend it. And what is a little sneaky actually is that most of us to some degree are already working in the Akashic Records. A lot of us do it when we sleep. If you ever have a dream that seemed like weirdly lifelike, but it wasn't you, but it was you, you were probably working in another timeline with a different identity, right? And that's probably what that was. So it's very interesting. And what I actually recommend, if you're someone who's very interested in learning about the Akash, is understand that you work in the Akash in your own individual way. And so when you're studying under a teacher, they can teach you processes and methods about how they do it and the dogma of what they have been taught, but yours is probably going to be slightly unique as you are unique, right? So that's all I would say about that, but definitely learn about it. It's so fun, and it's a great tool to have in your toolbox.
I definitely will look into it. I've got this, like I said, I see this mansion, this magic mansion. I've used it in some of my like as my sanctuary and all of these different things over the years. But the fact that I first saw it at 6 and now I'm 59, I mean, that's ridiculous. So I really
say, you know what I think that is, Adrienne, is that's probably a really good example of you engaging in like a positive karma sort of a way with another lifetime. So this is what I was talking about before, where when you can, another lifetime can connect with you or you can connect with them, and they can give you support and they can shore you up in some place where you may need to be lifted up. And then so when we stop connecting with past lives in a way that's so oriented in pain, then we can orient in support, right? And so that's one of those ways that I think that's probably what that is.
It's so comfortable there. Like whatever lifetime that was, I was super rich and it was super comfortable. And I've got a Taurus moon, so I like going there. And just like, wow, the kitchen's gorgeous, but it always reminds me of modern day. So I'm like, how was it that I saw this modern day house at 6? That would have been over 50 years ago. And that's why really cool. It always surprises me. Like, how is that possible?
Well, time is non-linear, you know? So it's also possible that it was perhaps a future life or a parallel life, really. Or future you could be getting back in touch with 6-year-old you and saying, hey, chin up, kid. This is where we end up.
It's coming. Don't give up. Like I said, I started the poorest city in America on the poorest street. And I'm telling you, it's a mansion. So if I get that, it's like, don't take in, you hold on, you can do this. So yeah, thank you. That gives me hope here. So Tracey, you've been patient again. Thank you so much. It's your turn. Just share with us any way that people can get a hold of you, any programs that you have, anything that you've got out there that you want to offer.
Wow. Okay. So where to start? Multi-potentialite me has lots of things that we do. So the first thing, if you are curious about moonology and you'd like to find out how your birth chart can help you to harness the energetics of the moon cycle, I offer moonology readings. They're like 90 minutes. We meet up on Zoom. I send you through a copy of your birth chart and a little 3-page report that kind of explains to you a little bit about the astrological houses and a moon calendar that tells you about the new moons and the new moons and full moons. And I explain to you how you can harness the energetics of that personally. So not just, you know, this is new moon in Capricorn, this is what the traits of Capricorn are. This is what, you know, like for me, it's the full moon in Capricorn, is in my 12th house. And so these are the things that I need to release and let go of are in the areas of, you know, like the way that I self-sabotage, my fears, my dreams, and lots of things that have been popping up lately. So I've got lots to release this month. And then how you can set your intentions and, you know, really harness those moon energetics. So the links for that are, Adrienne will have those, but it's vibrantcoach.as.me/moonology reading. And one of the other things that I do that I am really brilliant at is finding patterns in what people do, what they're struggling with in their business in terms of strategy. If you are struggling to work out, you know, like you've got all these ideas, but you don't know where to start or you don't know how to monetize them or whatnot. I'm not talking about strategy like, okay, well, this is how you create a funnel step by step. What I'm talking about is the idea synthesis side of thing and going, oh, well, you know, Claire, you're doing these amazing affirmations cards and you're doing these meditations, but then you're also like, what about combining it with this? And you could consider doing this, and really then creating and up-leveling things in ways that maybe you can't see because it's that whole wood for the trees things. You're so close to all of the things and you just can't see how those puzzle pieces fit together. And I will find those puzzle pieces for you and tell you what I can see. And it's amazing because those sessions really do. It's a 3-hour intensive session, and we will cover like every area of your life and business and look for where the gaps are or where the patterns are or what it is to help you then really define those steps forward. And it's a fantastic introduction to actually working with me in a coaching capacity. It is a one-off session, so if you just want the strategy and then you want to walk away and implement it yourself, no problems. But if it's something that you then feel like you need the accountability to help you work through it and stay focused and work through all the mindset monkeys that Claire was talking about before, and really, you know, working through how to overcome that imposter syndrome or really shift those beliefs, then that's what we do in an ongoing capacity. And then the final thing that I do is I'm just putting together at the moment a moon coaching program, which is kind of related to the moonology readings, but it's a personal coaching program where we meet at the first and the third quarter moons, or the week of the first and the third quarter moons, in a one-to-one capacity. And then at the new moon and the full moon, we come together as a group to set our intentions and to do our full moon releasing and things like that. So on the in-between weeks, we can then talk about and work through your, you know, like what intentions that you want to be setting. Like at the third quarter moon, we work out, okay, what is it that we want to bring into the new moon next week? What is your focus? Where does that fall in your astrological houses? And then at the first quarter moon, looking at then, well, what is it that we then want to take into the full moon the next week? And how have things been going with the intentions that we've set at the new moon? So it really kind of takes you through that whole cycle together. And so I offer that. I'll be launching that this month, initially as a 3 months. So we'll do it over 3 moon cycles to really help you get started with that moon manifestation practice and really start anchoring it for you so that we can do that as we move on. So that is a new program, so I don't actually have links for that, but if you are interested in finding out more about that, you can contact me on social, or I do have another link for that, which I'll give to Adrienne to put into the links there, which is vibrantcoach.as.me/clarity call. So that's just a 45-minute free call, and we can talk about whether moon coaching would be right for you. And the link to the business breakthrough session is vibrantcoach.as.me/business breakthrough. So that's me, and I'm complete.
That's fantastic. And I actually have talked about the moon. If anyone's ever wondering if working with the moon is important, I use the moon as a foundation for losing 300 pounds.
Wow.
That is so amazing.
A lot of people don't use the moon for that weight loss, but I wrote a book about it. So completely off of that. If you watch it and you monitor it, you can lose weight based on the waxing and waning of the moon.
I would love to read about how you did that.
Yeah, I would love to read that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all going to buy your book. Make sure you give us the link so that we can all get a copy.
It's amazing. Isn't that amazing? It just shows how powerful the moon is and its actual influence on us as individual humans here on Earth. Because I always think of the moon like we're almost like little plants, like we're waving, right? As the moon shines on us, as the sun shines on us, just like if you water a plant, you see it shake. We're sort of like that when it comes to the elements, when it comes to the constellation. And I don't think a lot of people realize how vital the moon is to us. I mean, everything. It's our emotional, everything. It's how everything, the amount of water we retain in our bodies is all predicated by the moon. Mm-hmm. People don't even think about it, so it's hard to get people to even think about why do we need water as humans? Like, we have to have that water, so people are not looking at the whole big picture, but the moon, the sun, the planets, especially the moon, it really plays a huge role in our lives here on Earth. Mm-hmm. So I have something I'm going to do. I know I only got 7 minutes, and I got another crew coming right after you. Okay, but I have to do this before I go. It's like a little game I do. So I'm going to guess the astrological signs, if not ascendant of you guys. I got to cheat because somebody said they had a 12th house. Tracey, 12th house Capricorn. I
totally gave it away.
I have a 12th house Capricorn. I'm a double Capricorn with 17 degrees in the 12th house, 13 in the first house, along with all of Aquarius. So that's why I'm an astrologer, Aquarius. And I don't know if you got Aquarius in the first house too, but that would also indicate why you're attracted to astrology and the moon and all of that. And I heard you say you don't know a lot about astrology. Now you know an astrologer. We got it.
So I'm a Cancer sun, Capricorn moon, and Aquarius rising.
That's crazy. First of all, is your sun and moon actually opposed each other?
Yeah.
God has a funny.
Actually, I don't know if they're actually in direct opposition.
Oh, okay,
but they're like one. Okay. Yeah, I don't think they're actually in direct.
Okay, good. You seem really put together for someone with that seesaw. So I think maybe I might have missed it, because I'm telling you, moon sun oppositions have a certain seesaw effect going on. It's because they don't know whether it's the sun, the moon, and they flip. So I wonder if it is exactly opposed. It might not be.
No, they're not directly opposed. My sun's at 22 degrees, 51 Cancer, and my moon is at 2 degrees, 54.
Oh yeah, you're safe. You're safe. Yeah, just the guy has a funny sense of humor, but he's spared.
Pull my chart up.
You were spared. I love it. And do you know when does your rising start? That you have that in front of you? I saw you just.
Yeah. So my ascendant is at 13 degrees 7 minutes.
You got Saturn in your first house, right on it.
Yeah.
Right on it right now. And I've got my Saturn at 10 degrees of Aquarius, and it's retrograding back. And so it's retrograding back into your 12th house. So some hidden things might be cropping up for you. Just anyway, I just started, but now that I know our actual chart, I just know you're doing the right thing. All the spirituality, anything that the moonology, I'm so glad you probably tapped into it in the last 2 years, and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I actually loved what you were saying before. I know we're short for time, but that when I was about 20, because I'm turning 40 actually in 2 weeks, and back when I was in my teens and early 20s and I was really diving into spirituality, it was not mainstream at all. Like in the late 90s, early to mid 2000s, it was, you had to be a crazy pagan. You could not be into any of this stuff. It was super, like, it was super out there. And so then I had my kids in my 20s and I just didn't have time to do anything spiritual at all. And now that they're teenagers and when we came into lockdown, it just kind of started coming back. And I kind of feel like I've come full circle. I think it's like that 19-year kind of loop or something, that it's kind of coming back again. And it feels like I'm finding myself back where I was like 20 years ago within myself. But now I have the confidence to just be like, well, I don't really care what anybody else thinks. And I've woken up and now everybody around is so mainstream that I'm just like, oh, well, this is cool. I can just be who I am. And no one even thinks that that's weird anymore.
You know, just know that, you know, with Saturn, it's retrograding now, but it's going to go direct again. And you're at a period of life with Saturn in the first house. I've got it too. It's responsibility. And, you know, it is a second growing up, you know, so 28 years you grew up, and 28 years now, you know, later, you're looking at life from a more adult place. And we all go through it. And, you know, I've got on my, you know, on my Saturn, even though it's the first house too, but the heaviness of Saturn, I'm sure you've probably been feeling it. So let's see, Claire. I've been looking at Claire only because Claire's got all the little, see the white background, the pretty little flowers. It's so Libra or Gemini going on there. So I've been trying to figure out what's going on. But then I'm looking at the glasses and the dimples and I'm thinking, is that Cancer? Tell me a little bit, Claire, what's going on there?
So I'm Pisces and my moon sign is Gemini, which is why I'm
Gemini. I was feeling the Gemini.
Yeah, but my rising sign is a Leo. So I find that I'm very ambiverted, right? So in situations like this, it's like my mane's tied up today, but I'm like, rah, you know, and then afterwards I've got to go inwards and I'll have a nice, like, relaxing bath. Do you know what I mean? Like get all watery and yeah. So yes, I'm an ambivert really. Pisces, Leo, you know, and then the Gemini with the communications.
Question is, does that Gemini square that Pisces? Are they, do you know?
I would have to share the screen with you because I don't know how to read my chart. But well, does the Gemini square the Pisces? I'm not sure looking at it.
You have the numbers? It looks like you're looking at something. Yeah,
I am looking at it. I don't know if it's opposite. When you say square it, does that mean like opposite it, right?
It would indicate a very stressful aspect. Like where is your Pisces? What number does it show? Does it tell you the number?
It doesn't tell me the numbers.
No. That's okay. It might be too. I go so deep in some people.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, there are numbers on the inside. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Right. Hold on a minute. It's really quite like it's small because it's so detailed, right? So I'm looking at the moon in. So no, hold on. There's Gemini. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll send you my.
I'm going to invite all of you are invited, and I'll send you an email to my Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/astrology. I'll look inside, but I'm going to make sure I email it to you all. I would love to invite you all to come and get a free reading. I give them to all my new members.
That would be
So
amazing.
yeah, I do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
And as you say, like, I think it's important. I remember being into all this, like you were saying as well, Tracy, you know, much when I was much younger. And now, you know, again, I'm over 50, my kids have grown up, they've left home. Like, I'm entering a whole new phase of my life anyway, but I would really like to know, like, I've forgotten what my chart said. Like, I'm in a new decade, like I'm in a new phase. I want to check that I'm rocking it, you know?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We're definitely going to get together because I can tell that you want to know more about that chart. So let's see, Julia. She's been very quiet down there. I'm looking at the black striped shirt. Looks like she's got plants behind her. You know, because of the black, it throws me off because that's giving off Capricorn or Scorpio vibes. And so I don't know if there's any Scorpio or Capricorn there, but I'm seeing the greenery, which is Virgo. And I don't know. Tell me something. What are you?
I'm a Capricorn sun.
I see. I know that Capricorn. There we go.
And then I'm a Gemini moon and a Sagittarius rising.
Wow. I love it. I love it. So you're probably really feeling this full moon because I bet you some of that 3 degrees of Capricorn is happening right in your first house.
Yeah, so it's in my Capricorn is in my first house, and I've got a Capricorn stellium.
I felt the Capricorn. It's because the moon, it's like illuminating it. That strawberry Capricorn. And I love that in this group here, we've got some Capricorn influences amongst, you know, most of us here, or Pisces up here. So I think we were all meant to be here today. There were actually 5 people that were scheduled to come, and 3 of you came, but the ones that I always say there's a theme, a thread amongst the people that show up. And it was so easy for me to just go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, because it all flowed together as one easy conversation, all connected in some form. And I love that. I love that. So I'm 2 minutes late for my next appointment. We're going to put on some music and we're going to get out of here. You girls, blessings to you so much. Blessings. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much love to you all. Much love to you. I love it. Ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Much love to you all. Much love to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Adrienne.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And I'll make sure I get that link out to you so you can come join me in the group and get your little free readings. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Have a good one.
Take care, ladies. Lovely to meet you.